Last video, we made workflows specific, recurring schedule triggers, filtered records, and a loop block. In this video, we'll cover the parse JSON block and send HTTP request block. This is a real use case automation workflow that we've been asked to build. So whenever a note is created on a custom object, it should be replicated in the default object people. So let's make it. Go to Workflow, go to New Workflow, and start from scratch. We start from the webhook received because there is no native trigger or action that triggers based on the note created. Copy this URL, go to Workspace Settings, go to the Developer Stop, navigate to Webhooks, and click on the new webhook. Let's choose the note created and the target URL, put from the workflow automation. Cool. Goes back. The next step should be to parse JSON. In this, we need to put our webhook request body, and then we need to set up a schema. Go to the Attio developer doc, and now we get to the REST API. Scroll a little bit down, and you will find core endpoints and webhooks. Oh, no. Now we get to the webhook reference and find the node events, node created. You can copy it from the example and put it directly to generate the schema. Save. Let's test how it works. So, note created, Brandon, for example, test. It was executed successfully. So what our automation should do is whenever a new note is created on the invoices object, it could be another custom object, we want to replicate it on the people object. So in our automation, we have already built a process that whenever a note is created, parses JSON. What we should do next is, as we can see, there is the parent object ID, and now we need to add a filter step that will filter out any note created not from the invoice object Ninois. So, how to find the object ID? Go to the invoice object, go to object settings, click on the back, and in this list of objects, you can find your custom object, navigate to the three dots, and click on the copy IDC. Goes back to our workflow automation, and let's add the filter block. Filter and add a condition. We need to choose the one from our previous step. Parse the JSON parent object ID, and if it's true, how the filter block is working. If it's true, the further step will be executed. If it's false, nothing happened. So after that, what do we need to do next? Let's publish it, just to show you how the webhook works. If we navigate to Notes and create a new note, for example, on the brand, when this screen pops up, it means the note has already been created. If we go back to the automation, we can see the number of runs has increased by 1. It means we created a note, but the note is actually empty. What we need is, first of all, we need to delay. In real life, you need to stop at 5 minutes. For example, when your sales rep is filling the note after the call with the summary and etc., but for the video, let's stop 10 seconds. Let's publish changes. After the delay, we want to replicate the invoices node on the people object. How do we get and node content so that it does not replicate an app empty node? So there is no native node creation block in the actual workflow automation. For that, let's open the ITIL developers doc and navigate to point references and open the nodes. We can see the following. We will use the post to create a node, it will be used later, and get a node. That we'll be using now. We need to use an HTTP block to send this request to this method in order to retrieve the information from the node. Copy this URL, navigate back to your workflow, choose the send HTTP request, paste this URL, and instead of node ID, use the variable from the parse JSON, parses camera events ID node ID. Remove any extra space before and after. After that, we need to add a header. How to do it? Navigate to your workspace developers and create an API token. We need node read, object configuration read, and record permission read. For the creation node, we need node read write, object configuration read, and record permission read. So record read, object configuration read, nodes read write by demo video and create an API token. By copy it. Back to our workflow, and here we add the header. We put the authorization and the bearer and put the API token, S. After that, we need to parse the JSON block in order to parse it correctly from this HTTP request block. How do we use it? So we choose the send HTTP request response body. For the schema, go back to the ITIL developers doc and copy this answer and put it. Generate JSON schema, save it, and publish changes. Now let's test it. Create a new additional node, goes back to the workflow. Okay, it was filtered out because we created it on the people object. Let me create a new one on the invoice. Goes back, it's running, 10 seconds delay, send HTTP completed, and it's failed. This step failed because it expected to get a meeting ID from the data meeting ID, but it got null instead of something. We need to adjust this step. Let's go to the parse JSON, click on the pencil, and remove this one. Click on the save. So now we need to create another note to test how it works. Test node, test, go back to workflow. The hrun is executing, delay, send HTTP request, parse JSON, and it's successfully done. So what's next? We send the HTTP request, we get the parsed JSON block, and we get the node content information. Now, we need to create a note on the associated person. How to make it? First of all, we need to find an associated person from the invoice, and after that, we need to find the people who are associated with this invoice. What should we do? It's find the records, select the object invoice, filter, record ID is variable, parse JSON, parse it, parent record ID. And if the record ID matches the parent record ID, we will find the invoice record. After that, we can create a note on the associated person from the found invoice because we can receive the person's record ID. How to do it? So there is no native block to create a note in workflow automation. We go to the developer doc and open the notes in point references with the post method and copy this URL. After finding records, use the send HTTP request block. Put the URL, choose the post method, and choose the application JSON. You can copy the bearer token and authorization. So we need to fill everything. And now there is an example of the data that we need to send to create a note, put it, and generate its own value. Now we need to adjust it a little bit to replace it with actual variables. So the parent record ID is found and matches the invoice person record ID. Title will be parse JSON, parse data, title. Content will be removed everything and parse JSON, parse data content. We can choose plain text or markdown. It doesn't matter. I prefer the markdown. Created a webhook, received, trigger that, and meeting ID. We can remove it because we don't have a meeting ID. Let's double check it. So there is nothing to add here. Let's save it. Publish changes. I've decided to create a test note before re-recording the video, and we need to add a format variable to our send HTTP block with the string format and the value like markdown or plain text. It's really strange why it's not mentioned here, but you need to add the format and put the markdown if you want to use content markdown, or if you want to use plain text, you can use the plain text in either way. So click on the save and let's test how it works. Choose our invoice, which goes to the note. Demo note. Go back. Now it's running. Delay is on the way. Boom. We can see the status code 200. That means it was successfully created, goes to the notes, and we can see that this note was created. This note was created as well, but the content is empty because the delay is too small. If we set up 30 seconds, for example, and click on Publish Changes, they create another note. Okay, and let me pause the video. Now I resume the video, and this note was successfully created. Go back to the notes, and as you can see, another note with another note, another note with another note content. Next video, we set up teams in Attio, so the right people see the right work and these workflows route to the right place. We're Craft, and we help teams turn Attio into something they actually use. Link in the description to book a free audit.